Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. Happy Thanksgiving. My name is John Halpin alongside Chris Palmer. How we doing today?
Doing all right, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone who is tuning in to watch us on this special, first ever Thanksgiving special.
Yes, so we are excited for food, family, and football. And man, don't worry, we got you covered on the football. So, with that being said, we're gonna get into last week's games before we get into our Thanksgiving slate of games. But let's start with the Thursday night game last week, and that was the New England Patriots dominating over the Atlanta Falcons, 25-0. Tell me your thoughts on that game.
That one was you kind of see that one coming. No one really saw a shutout coming. Everyone kind of hoped that Atlanta would be able to put points on the board, but New England is such a better team. They're better coached. Mac Jones is he's a different level right now. He has 5 games with over 100 QB rating. No other rookie has that this year. No other rookie has 1. He has 5.
Yeah, but no other rookie has Bill Belichick.
Fair. Fair. That's why it always accumulates to where you go in the draft.
Exactly. And Mac Jones seemed to have found a really good home in New England. But let's move on to Sunday's games, and we're going to start with my Ravens coming away with a win over the Chicago Bears, 16-13. It was an ugly win. No Lamar in that game, but tell me your thoughts on that game.
You guys are really, really starting to win closer and closer games. If you look at it, it's almost like the opposite of Minnesota. And now let me explain that. Minnesota has been playing very tight games and losing, and everyone is hoping for them to win one. And they're getting lucky wins here and there. Look at Baltimore. They are playing closer and closer games, and they're winning. Last close game they played, they lost. They just won this one. What's going to happen the next game if they play close as the season goes on?
Probably a coin flip at that, but we'll see. The Ravens have a big game next Sunday, prime time against Baker Mayfield and the Browns. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that game later on. But let's get back to Sunday's games, and I want to talk about Miami coming away with a win over the Jets, 24-17. Tell me what's going on in New York.
Not much good. There's not much good coming out of either the Jets or the Giants right now. Neither of them have an offensive line. Neither of them have a quarterback that can get through not having an offensive line. Neither of them have an offensive coach that is worthy of putting points up or making plays that are simple enough for their quarterbacks who are struggling without an offensive line to even move the ball down the field. There's a lot of bad coming out of New Jersey football right now. I say New Jersey because Buffalo is on a different wave still.
The actual New York team is kind of doing good, but we're going to get into them and how they did on Sunday later on. But let's move on to the Green Bay Packers getting upset by the Minnesota Vikings 34-31. You smelt it. What did you smell, Chris Palmer?
Well, again, just like I just said with your Baltimore Ravens, the Minnesota Vikings are playing closer and closer games. Look at this game. They played an incredibly tight game, and they eked one out. They played up to their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Baltimore Ravens, I've been saying it for weeks now, you guys are playing down to your opponents. And you guys need to figure that out. And Minnesota seems to have figured out their formula to winning games. Play tight and keep your stamina.
It's good. Minnesota's definitely one of those teams that came away with an ugly start to the season, but ultimately they, like you said, they found themselves a lot like the Colts as well. They found themselves within, and they're coming away with wins. And speaking of the Colts actually came away with a strong win over Buffalo, 41-15. Whew, my God! Tell me. The first question that I believe we said last week was, can the Bills stop Jonathan Taylor? The answer to that was no. They could not stop Jonathan Taylor.
I feel like that is a getting to be an easier question for every team. No one can stop Jonathan Taylor. That man should be in the MVP conversation, and if he isn't in your MVP conversation, you're wrong.
if you have fantasy football, like he is definitely a player to get, and probably not just for this season, but going forward as well.
Yeah.
He is here to stay. But let's move on to a team that is, again, kind of finding their way, and that is the San Francisco 49ers coming away with a strong win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 30-10. Tell me, Ken, do you see San Francisco trying to pull off can they pull off a playoff run?
I wouldn't really judge it off of a game versus Jacksonville. Again, I would want to see it after this. You take the win from a struggling team. You beat up a struggling team. You beat them by 20. That's a good win against
Mm-hmm.
a professional football team. Good for you. Next week, when you have higher competition, no matter who it is, you don't even have to look at the schedule. You know you're playing higher competition than Jacksonville. Take the confidence boost and use it. And then we'll see if you can eke out a win.
Well, next week they play Minnesota, so that is going to be a really good game to watch. And that is going to be interesting in the playoff picture in the NFC going forward this season. But let's move on to some teams in the NFC, actually. And the Philadelphia Eagles coming away with the win over the New Orleans Saints 40-29. Tell me, Jalen Hurts, he's a baller, isn't he?
I love that kid, man. He really is. He's something to behold. He has a wow factor. It's those fucking Alabama quarterbacks. There's something about them. There's something about Alabama quarterbacks and Alabama running backs. Nick Saban breeds professionals is really just what it is. He breeds professionals that are ready to play week one.
Yep. And Jalen Hurts, he was ready to play. But man, it is so fun watching Jalen Hurts because he's another one of those dual threat quarterbacks, a lot like Lamar, who can run it and pass it and just
Damn near similar to Lamar in his first 15
oh,
starts.
absolutely,
Statistically, like they are almost identical.
yes. So Jalen Hurts is emerging as a really strong dual threat quarterback, and I want to see the Philadelphia Eagles invest in him in this coming off season.
Yes.
But let's move on to probably the upset of the week: the Houston Texans versus the Tennessee Titans. And the Texans came away 22-13. My God. Looks like the Houston Texans ate their Wheaties that morning.
I don't think anybody in the entire football community saw this upset coming.
No.
Everyone thought, like what we thought, no Derrick Henry, no problem. Tennessee is the better team. Don't underestimate any given Sunday.
Yep.
That is literally the epitome of what this game showed, is that any given Sunday, someone can and will mess you up.
Absolutely. And being divisional opponent, they're not going to stand back or stand by. They're going to be ready.
Absolutely not.
They're going to be ready to play, and they honestly caught the Titans sleeping. Honestly,
yeah.
They probably thought a lot like everyone else, where it's like we're just going to waltz into this game and come away with a win. But it's like, no, you got to earn it.
You have to earn this win.
And the Houston Texans earned that win, so it's a good win by the Texans. Moving on to a team that was not so fortunate to win, and that was the Detroit Lions losing to the Cleveland Browns 13-10. They're losing close. Is there something to be said about the Lions losing close?
No, it's almost too obvious that they're shooting for a lottery pick. They broke their loss streak with the tie to us again. That's kind of a sour spot for us. For them, good for you. You lost your loss streak. You are no longer going to go completely defeated. You're going to go 16-1. Proud. That may actually solidify your number 2 spot.
As they say in Detroit, Lion's gonna lion.
If that's what you want to say. It's more just like the rolling dumpster fire of Detroit.
Well, we're gonna talk more Detroit later on in this episode, but let's move on to the Washington football team coming away with a strong win over the Carolina Panthers, 27-21. Whew. Ron Rivera showing up, winning late too. This was another one of those games where a lot of people were looking at Carolina to come in for the win. But tell me, what your thoughts on Ron Rivera winning that game?
I like Ron Rivera smacking Cam down to planet Earth a little bit. Of course, Cam's going to come in high on life. He hasn't played in years. He said it in the last press conference that a week prior to him playing that game, he was eating a bowl of cereal.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of how real it was, and Ron Rivera smacked him into reality that I am a legitimate head coach, and I will beat you into submission if I need to.
I think it's just, coaches who are familiar with quarterbacks understand what to do against that quarterback, being that they've practiced with it against them so many times. It's like what Bill Belichick said about Tom Brady, where he's like, how does it feel playing against Brady for the first time? He's like, oh, we played against Brady thousands of times.
Right. I played against him for 18 years.
Yeah, so so much to that Ron Rivera was like, I played with Cam for years, so
right, I know him.
Yeah, so it was a good win by Washington and Ron Rivera. And so let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals coming away with a win over the Las Vegas Raiders, 32-13. Tell me, what happened to the Raiders?
It seems like with them, they're one step forward, two steps back. Every time they do something, and this is going in-game situations, they do something good. Usually it's a defensive turnover, and then it's the complete and total debauchery on offense. They can't get anything going. Josh Jacobs is in probably one of the biggest slumps of the season. He can't catch a ball. He can't rush for yards. The offensive line can't block. Derek Carr can't throw a ball. There's a lot going on. It's a mess on that offense right now. And that defense is that saving grace right now. But there is only one saving grace on that defense, and that's Max Crosby. He is the man on that defense right now.
Well, also Carl Nassib as well.
Carl Nassib is good. He's not making as many waves. I like Carl Nassib.
Mm-hmm. I like him too, yeah.
But Max Crosby, dude.
Yeah, he's another level.
He is the focal point of that defense.
So, I got to say, you hate to see the Bengals win, but they did come away with a strong win. So, it's going to be interesting for them going forward because you guys play them next week.
Yep, that's going to be a rough game.
So, that is going to be a crucial game going forward, not only within our division, but in the whole context of the AFC, because the AFC runs deep this year. But let's move on to a game that was probably one of the marquee games that was emphasized throughout the week, and that was the Dallas Cowboys coming into Kansas City and playing against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And the Chiefs coming away with a very low-scoring affair, 19-9. But I'm kind of happy I took the Chiefs on a coin flip. But tell me your thoughts on Dallas and that.
Again, I like Dallas. Micah Parsons, man.
Oh, he's nasty.
He is disgusting. As of right now, he has more tackles for loss, more sacks, and more forced fumbles than Aaron Donald.
Whew. Oh my God, that's disgusting.
Think about that.
That's disgusting.
That's a linebacker who can play any other position on the field, but he's a sole linebacker. That was Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Yep.
And he's beating him in every sense of the word when it comes to a defensive player.
That's why,
as a rookie,
don't be surprised Micah Parsons might get Defensive Player of the Year, not just Defensive Rookie. So
yeah,
that is a strong possibility as well. But let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals and your man Colt McCoy coming away with the win over the Seahawks. Your man Colt McCoy, 23-13. Tell me.
That man had over 400 yards passing that game.
Damn right he did.
That had 400 yards plus passing that game. But that Seattle defense is just abysmal.
Oh, man.
It's abysmal.
Ranked 31st in the league.
For Colt McCoy to throw 400 yards on you, bro, there's something wrong. Colt McCoy shouldn't even have a job, and he threw 400 yards on you.
Yeah. But it was a good win for Arizona. They're staying alive. They're staying as the number 1 seed in the NFC right now. So, and that is without Kyler Murray and D-Hop.
And when they come back, boy, help the league. Boy, help the league.
They are going to scorch earth completely. Yeah. But let's move on to the primetime game and the final game on Sunday. Your Steelers against the Los Angeles Chargers. It was you guys ultimately lost 41-37. But I gotta say, watching that game, it was a completely different game from the first 3 quarters to the final quarter. The final quarter, the fourth quarter, was its own different game.
Yeah.
It was spectacular to watch. It was a lot of cringe, a lot of good plays, a lot of awes, but man, Justin Herbert got it done. But
Listen, that fourth quarter. I'm going to take this one for just that fourth quarter was, to me, it felt like it was a challenge. That was Ben Roethlisberger looking at Justin Herbert and saying, "Okay, kid, let's see what you got." And Ben Roethlisberger turned it on, and he showed why he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback.
Mhm.
And Justin Herbert just tied his shoes and went toe to toe with a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback,
Mhm.
and came on top because he made a incredible throw to one of the biggest holes that we have in our defense right now, which is at free safety with no Minka Fitzpatrick,
Mhm.
who is out to COVID. Unbelievable game. Hats off to the Chargers. I'm not even mad at that loss. We played great. They played just a little bit better.
Mhm. Yeah, honestly, it was a really good game by you guys. I'm surprised that was the first game you guys had this year where you scored over 30 points, and but it was really good to see, especially just Najee just like getting the workload, getting some of the workload. But man, Ben played good. It was good to see that Ben Roethlisberger come back and show up and show out. But let's move on to probably another Hall of Fame, actually another Hall of Fame quarterback, Tom Brady, beating the New York Giants 30-10. My God, Brady just doing Brady things, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what that is. Again, there's not much good coming out of either the Giants or the Jets right now. Right after that game, the Giants released Jason Garrett, so there's problems going on inside and out for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they can land themselves at least a comparable coach that can help them at least a little bit in the offseason into next season.
Mm-hmm.
But as for this season for the Giants, it's shot. And the Jets, you guys are shot for the season.
Yeah.
So just try and stay healthy and
Mm-hmm.
look for some draft picks and try to get someone in the offseason for the both of you. That's all I got for you guys.
Yeah, I got to say for the Giants, they do have a lot to fix in the offseason going forward, but I think at this point in time we could say that Daniel Jones is just not the guy. He's just not the guy in New York. I don't know about Joe Judge. Maybe I would give him another year, but Daniel Jones just is not. He's not going to be the solution to New York's problems. He had you and I were talking about off air about this, where he had such a fumble and turnover problem throughout the like since he came into the league. And how many fumbles was it
65.
since 2019? Right,
Yep.
and he cleaned it up a little bit this year, which was nice.
Yeah,
But
that cost him.
it cost him scoring points.
Cost him big time.
So I don't know. I like the way the Giants play under Joe Judge, but man, they really got to just fix that offense, and it starts at the quarterback position.
But at the same time, it starts at the top. You got to
With
draft.
Dave Gettleman, yeah.
When it comes to the Giants, I feel like that was really wrong place, wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones could have been the guy in New York had they just built an offensive line. You guys had 5 years to build an offensive line, and you couldn't do it. That doesn't fall on Daniel Jones.
No, it doesn't.
Sure, Daniel Jones ain't the guy in New York. That's because you guys couldn't make him the guy. You guys couldn't do anything to make him the guy, and unfortunately, you guys are going to trade him. And you guys are all blaming Daniel Jones for it without looking at the front office at all.
Mm-hmm. The front office definitely has something to do with it because they had 3 first-round draft picks in 2019. They had Daniel Jones. They had a cornerback who's no longer in the league anymore.
Right.
And they also had a left tackle who is just not.
He's not on the team anymore.
No, he was, but he gets a lot of holding calls.
Oh, that's right. He got beat up all game last week.
All game.
Yeah.
So the Giants have a lot of reflecting to do this coming off season, but I gotta say, with that said, Chris Palmer, are you ready for Thanksgiving?
Oh, we're about to talk about the Turkey Bowl, huh? It's time for the Turkey Bowl.
So we are going to be talking some Thanksgiving football, and starting with the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. So tell me, Chris Palmer, every year the Lions always start at 1 o'clock because pretty much no one's going to be watching them, but we're going to be watching them. Tell me, what do you expect to see out of the Lions tomorrow against the Bears?
Not much. I don't expect much. Again, like you said, this is more so the one of the three Thanksgiving games that not many people watch. Honestly, looking at this year's Thanksgiving games, I'm surprised I didn't see Green Bay on there. I'm surprised Green Bay isn't playing Thanksgiving. It was a real shock to me to see Buffalo instead of Green Bay. I'm not going to lie to you. But with that being said, the Lions are playing again. It's tradition that Detroit gets their asses whooped on Thanksgiving. The one thing I don't like going into this game in general is the Bears' decision to make Andy Dalton the starter. Like,
Man.
they confirmed that, and there's a report out saying that they're going to fire Matt Nagy after the game. He has since responded saying he hasn't heard anything about it. So we'll see where that goes after the game and how that entails. I don't like Andy Dalton as a quarterback. I don't like him in Chicago. Justin Fields is their guy. I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't understand why they're going back to Andy Dalton, especially when Justin Fields is. They need to make him the guy, as you were saying earlier. And still having a quarterback controversy in the middle of the season? Why? There's no benefit to that. It's like, why do you insist on going back to Andy Dalton when at best he's just a backup? And you've already started Justin Fields and know that you're going to be using him in the long run and definitively next year. Absolutely. So it seems that, I don't know, the Bears are in a bit of a crisis because they have a lot of reflecting to do, because if they get rid of Matt Nagy and you have Justin Fields, it's like, okay, look, we're gonna see if we could try to find the right guy, but it seems that they're just not willing to commit to the people around, not only Justin Fields, but just the necessary pieces that they need in order to be successful as a team. And it starts, obviously, if you're going to build a team, you want obviously your quarterback, but you need the line. You need to have a good offensive line around him. You need to have a lot of skill position players around him. And that Chicago defense, as good as we think it is, it's actually pretty average now. It came back down to earth over the past couple years
with an abrupt smash into earth.
So at this point, I think that they probably need to look at their defense as well. I mean, Roquan Smith is a good young player. Like, keep him. He's going to be young. And he's going to produce. But maybe it's time to move from Khalil Mack.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But you know where we've actually seen this once before already? Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia toyed with Jalen Hurts for 2 years.
Well, this is the second year with Jalen Hurts right now.
What was his third? But
they drafted him last year.
Okay, so they toyed with him all season last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Bears are going to toy with Justin Fields? I don't know. I don't like what teams do to young quarterbacks. It's like, if you don't succeed, and by succeed I mean become division leaders in your first year, they start toying with you and they start making you seem like you're less than adequate to run the team. You need longer than half a season as a rookie quarterback stepping into a league with fully grown men at 20 plus years old. Yeah, you need to be ready to play, but you need to have a team that's ready to build around you. You can't just send someone out there to go and play against fully grown men who have been in the league for years and know your play style because they've seen it 1,000 different times, just with a different name on the back of the shoulder plate.
I gotta say, I think to piggyback off what you're saying, I think the Bears essentially really need to commit, and they got to commit to. Obviously, they're going to commit to Justin Fields, but they got to commit to what they want with Justin Fields, because Belichick, with all the rookie quarterbacks this year, the teams knew exactly what they wanted to do with the rookies. Belichick said, "We're starting Mac Jones." The Urban Meyer in Jacksonville said, "We're starting Trevor Lawrence." Game one, week one, boom. But the San Francisco 49ers said, "No, Trey Lance is going to sit and Jimmy G is going to be our starter
Right.
definitively." And the Bears, you drafted Justin Fields, but you were like, "No, we're going to start Andy Dalton." And then when Andy Dalton got hurt, it's like we're going to keep Fields, and then we're gonna stick with Fields indefinitely going forward. And now Andy Dalton comes back. It's like, no, 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 we're going to go back to Andy Dalton. It's like,
Right.
you're not helping your team,
You're hurting it.
especially being that football is such a team sport where teams require continuity and chemistry. Like the more like you're just alongside your teammates, the better off you're going to be against other opponents. So I think honestly, like going into this game on Thanksgiving, I like the way the Lions have been because even though they've been underperforming.
They're underperforming together as a
Exactly.
team.
Exactly.
And with that, I actually agree with you. Like going into this game, I like Detroit. You
Yeah.
know, if Detroit can come out with their first win this week, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. I'd be more surprised with the turmoil in Chicago as to really, like, you guys need to look at what the hell you just did to yourselves by doing that. By doing this, you're, as Matt Nagy, if you stay this decision, you just lost the locker room.
Mhm.
Completely, you just lost the locker room. The locker room wants Justin Fields in. You can tell. They mold to him real quick. They don't want Andy Dalton playing. The rest of the team does not want Andy Dalton on the field. They want Justin Fields. Why are you making this decision?
Mhm.
Win or lose, you just lost the locker room if you stay.
Yeah. I gotta say it. I do like the Lions going into this game, and honestly, for Detroit, if they were to only win the Thanksgiving game,
It'd be poetic because Andy Dalton was in.
I think well, it'd be poetic for Andy Dalton, but it's like for the Lions, it's like okay, the one game that like really mattered to them, they can
The
win.
traditional game.
You know what? Yeah, like if we can win that, because I don't think they've won in a while, if I'm not mistaken. They have
On Thanksgiving?
yeah. It
Shit,
seems
it has to be 5 years or more.
it's been a couple years because the Lions. It's been a tradition just watching them get their ass kicked every single
Whoopings.
time.
Ass whoopings year in and year out, and they'll play good the first half usually,
Yeah,
but then the second half, it just Detroit, the dumpster fire rolls into play, and here they come, and then they get their asses kicked.
yep.
But you know,
But honestly, they've been playing hard under Dan Campbell.
I
Obviously,
like Dan Campbell.
and obviously they have one really good player that stands out among the rest, and that is DeAndre Swift.
He is the only shining light on that team.
And he really is. And I gotta say, he's probably going to be the one to kind of like they're going to lean on. I think Dan Campbell wants to lean on him more than Jared Goff, and I don't think Campbell wants Jared Goff anymore.
You shouldn't want Jared Goff.
No.
You just shouldn't. That was an absolute. Matt Stafford won that divorce. Jared Goff came in, and it is just that's the settlement clause. Detroit settled for Jared Goff. They knew what they had.
Well, they settled for Jared Goff, but they also got those picks from
Yes.
the Rams. So
the Rams still have, I think, 8 or 9 picks even after that.
Oh yeah,
they have such a slew of picks.
And for the Lions, they're going to be getting a lot of first round picks in the next couple years. So obviously, being that they're losing so bad that they're probably going to get the first overall pick.
It's possible.
But they're also going to get multiple first round picks to rebuild. So the Lions are going to have their opportunity to rebuild. And I think honestly for them, if they could just win tomorrow, I think that they'd be happy with it.
Again, I think with a win tomorrow, it would secure their number 2 pick.
Who would be worse than them?
Either Jacksonville or Houston.
Well, Houston actually has 2 wins now.
They do have 2 wins, but that tie would solidify a number 2 spot. You know, if Jacksonville were to play worse, which it's just possible.
Well, Jacksonville has 2 wins too.
We'll have to see about how the ranking goes.
We'll see. We'll see.
Detroit may pinpoint that number 1 spot.
I wouldn't put it past them.
I wouldn't put it past 1, 2, 3 being Detroit, Jacksonville, and Houston. Like 1, 2, 3.
Don't forget the Jets.
4. And the Giants is 5.
Yeah.
Or 6 again, and then they mess up a number 6 spot like they did with Daniel Jones.
But that's neither here nor there. But
we ain't gonna go down that road yet.
But any final thoughts on the Lions this year?
Stay healthy. Don't get DeAndre Swift hurt. Really start talking to your scouting team and letting them know what you want, which avenue you're really going to go down. So come combine and draft day, you guys can really look at the right pieces that you need in the worst way.
Yep. And just plan ahead. Plan for the future. So let's move on to the second game tomorrow, and that is the Dallas Cowboys and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Much more interesting game.
Yeah, so
much more watchable game.
So this game, we're actually in watchable territory in this game.
For sure. This game could turn out to be a very good game depending on the Vegas team that comes out. Again, they're in shambles, but they could very easily come out and turn this into a barn burner of a match.
Tell me, what do you see going into this game?
I see Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott having an absolute field day off the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that they're 2 steps forward, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. The points that Dallas can put up, Vegas just simply can't match right now. That defense can do all they can, but at the end of the day, Tony Pollard and Zeke are going to get theirs, and Dak's going to make it look easy when it comes to him completing his passes.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get multiple touchdowns from inside the red zone. They're going to bully Vegas on that defensive side, and that offense really isn't going to show out at all. Now, that's what I see from the past couple weeks with Vegas. If the Vegas from the first 5 weeks come out, it could be a different story. It could be one of the best games that we've seen in Thanksgiving in a very long time. But that's a coin flip for which Vegas team comes out.
Yeah, I got to say, Vegas is one of those teams where they really fell to grace hard. They really came back down to earth very hard. But with that being said, they're still a good team. But Dallas is just better. They're just better than what everyone expected this year. I think with Vegas, they have a lot of off-field issues. Obviously, with really the hit with Henry Ruggs, that was brutal to lose for that team, and I think that really kind of deflated their morale as a team because that was a player that was young, up and coming, and everyone wanted to bond with and be with.
Well, there was also that, and then there was also another up-and-coming player on their defense who did something stupid on social media. He went on social media and he started throwing vulgar, I think it was like, without less of a term, it was death threats at someone. Then he waved a weapon in the camera.
Oh, wow.
And it was a completely modified weapon. Yeah. Like, all the perks that you could think of, it was on this freaking weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, the Raiders released him as well. This is within like 2 weeks of the Henry Ruggs thing happening. And from there, it's just been a steady downfall.
Yeah, the Raiders have been dealing with a lot of off-field issues, which is it's just so bad as a team because you never want it to happen. But you know what? Everyone has their own lives off the field, and it's just one of those hard things where it's like you could be great during practice, but like once you go home, like you could live a completely different life, and then once you come back, like you could be a different person, and it's tough because it affects the team just on a morale standpoint.
You see, but that's the thing. As a football player, you're taught as a child, no matter what team you're on and off the field, that's who you're representing. You're no longer yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're representing a team. You're representing an organization. You're representing something that's bigger than yourself. Perfect example. When we were in high school, if I was to give my jersey out
mm-hmm.
and someone were to get in trouble while wearing my jersey, I wouldn't be playing that night. because that's
Yep.
my number, that's my jersey, that's the team's property.
Mhm.
And that just made the team look bad coming from me going to the team. It's a chain reaction. That name is all people see is the name of the team that you're on. They don't care who you are. They don't care who you are. All they care about is the uniform that you're wearing.
Yep. And it's a shame because the Raiders they're a good organization, and but they've just there hasn't been a lot of good people within the Raiders, and I say people as in like people, like down aside from players, it's just people in general. It's just I don't know. It's upsetting because when the Raiders do well, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch like it was in the first couple weeks. It was really fun to watch the Raiders just come out and play up to competition and win some really good games and a lot of off field stuff. And now they're just kind of really back down to earth, and they just kind of struggle to just stay in games.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, I have a soft spot for the Raiders. I believe everybody kind of has a little soft spot for the Raiders because again, it's the unorthodox team, it's the uniforms, it's the cool stadium, it's the fan base, the black hole. Everyone's always known as the Raiders fans as the black hole because everyone does blackout every week in, week out. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see the bad guy. They're the bad guy of the league because they're the Raiders. Ooh, big bad Raiders. You know, and there's always the stigma of when will they do well again, and this could have been the year that they were playing really well. It's such a shame.
And I gotta say, the Cowboys, as good as like they have been this year, I gotta say Dak really came down to earth too in the past couple weeks as well. Uh, I'm not sure if this is going to be one of those high scoring affairs. This may be kind of like one of those middle of the pack games. I could see maybe kind of like 28-17, something like that. I don't see any team really cracking 30, but I think for Dallas, like you said earlier, lean on that run game. Lean
The
on
run game
Zeke
is lethal.
and Pollard. Don't let don't worry about Dak. Like he may not be 100%, but like he'll get back to form throughout the season. But just lean on Zeke, lean on Pollard, and that defense will do the rest.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be one of those games where the defense kind of takes over for both teams. But again, more so because that if Dallas's offense decides to turn it on the heat and really start doing what they do best, and that is making it look easy for their quarterback, Vegas really won't stand a chance.
Yeah, yeah. I hope Vegas can. We know that they have the firepower to be
They
like
can answer.
in these type of games. It's a matter of can they will that to a victory.
Right. It's all about willpower right now, and their morale is at such a flat surface that any little bit would be a positive outlook from the end of that game, win or lose, if they just showed a little bit of a heartbeat
Yep.
of what was the chemistry inside Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
There was such a chemistry in Las Vegas in the first opening weeks that everybody was shocked as to what was happening. So I would like to see that again. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it probable? No.
Yeah, it's upsetting because honestly, but the Raiders have kind of been like this throughout the 2000s and 2010s, where like they're good, and then they're good in the beginning part of the season in September and October. They get some big wins over some big competition, and it's like, whoa, the Raiders, like, are they good? And then come November, December, it just kind of comes right back down. I gotta say, I'm happy that for the Raiders that people are actually able to go into the stadium this year because I feel Vegas it just fits the Raiders
It
persona
really does.
to a T. And
That whole energy belongs in Vegas.
yeah, exactly. And for the first game of the year for them to come away with a win over the Ravens in overtime, first game with fans packed to the brim, it's got a really good feel to it. But
Right.
the Raiders are going to be little fish out of water in this game because they're going to be going to Dallas. And so you go to the football mecca
You're going to one of the rowdiest fan bases in the league.
on Thanksgiving.
Right. A traditional game for Dallas, not for you. Um, so that's going to be an interesting point as that they're going into Dallas. But um, damn, I had a point and then I lost it actually. Yeah, I lost it.
Who do you see grabbing that turkey leg by the end of this game? Who's going to be grabbing that turkey leg?
What? It's going to be Micah Parsons.
You damn right.
Micah
It's going
Parsons
to
gonna
be.
be grabbing
He's
that
going to be
turkey
grabbing
leg.
that turkey leg.
It's going to be Micah Parsons grabbing that turkey leg. I feel like he is really going to be the game changer in this. There's no answer for him because of just how many different spots he can line up. He's as fast as a cornerback. He hits as hard as a linebacker. And he can put his hand in the dirt and he can drive your lineman into the dirt like a D tackle. It's something that we haven't seen in 40 years or more. You know, we haven't seen that in our lifetime.
Not in our lifetimes, like a true hybrid player where he's playing four different positions, which is crazy to think about. So
Right. We haven't seen that in our lifetime.
And I mean, and to think he's only going to get better,
Right.
and
he's just a rookie right now.
And he's just a rookie. So on that game, keep an eye out for number 11 on the defense.
If people don't know what Micah Parsons' number is now, you really just aren't watching football this season.
If you're catching this game in between your meal, because this is going to be the 4:00 game, so this is going to be typically when people are eating. So this will be on in the background while people are eating. Look for number 11.
He's going to be everywhere.
Blue 11. That's all you need.
Yeah, he's going to be the guy hitting Derek Carr.
Yeah. But any final thoughts on this game?
Again, I feel like this is one of the more watchable games, and if this turns out to be, one of the games where Vegas wants to revive themselves, this could be one of the most exciting games we've seen on a Thanksgiving Day in a very long time.
Okay, with that being said, let's move on to the last game of the night, and that is going to be Buffalo versus New Orleans. Now let's. I just want to kick this off. This is going to be the 8:00 game, and the winner of this will get the actual turkey leg. They're going to cart out a turkey, and someone's going to take a big chomp right into that leg. So, with that being said, Buffalo is struggling,
to say the least.
They have been. What have you seen in the past couple weeks that are indicating Buffalo struggling within games?
Those fourth quarter issues, man. Fourth quarter, they get so erratic.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they're a different team in the fourth quarter. They don't know what to do. They can't just put the staple in someone and call it a day. They're allowing points to go up. Their defense has completely fallen apart in the past 3 weeks. Holy hell. I cannot believe how weak of a tackling team they are becoming all of a sudden. They used to be one of the freaking strongest open field tackling teams in the league. I've ranted and raved about it for the first 4 weeks of the year. Now, holy shit, they can't make an open field tackle to save their life.
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 people getting bounced off of. That's not good. Especially if Alvin Kamara winds up coming back. I don't think he's coming back for this game.
He's not. He's out for this game.
So then it's going to be Melvin Ingram.
Yep.
Dude bounces off everybody. Even better. You guys need to learn how to relearn how to wrap up before tomorrow. Because he will bounce off of every single one of you all night.
I got to say, the Bills are lucky that Alvin Kamara is not in this game. Because I think, honestly, that Bills defense, as good as it is, I think there's a weakness to it. It's teams that can run the ball and that have a really strong running attack. Teams that are able to lean on their running back and keep the offense off the field, keep the Bills defense on the field longer, exhaust them to the point where you're taking time of possession and you're able to chew clock and just cash out every single time. And the two teams that were able to really do that effectively against the Bills, the Titans, when they had Derrick Henry, and the Colts with Jonathan Taylor. So the Bills are very fortunate that Alvin Kamara is not in this game because if he was, this would be a completely different game.
This would be an ugly game coming out of Buffalo.
Buffalo would not want to play that, but being that it's pretty much uh just Ingram, Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram.
I was thinking Melvin. I'm like, no,
I think
that's
said
not it.
Melvin. I'm sorry if I said Melvin.
But Mark Ingram, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I said Melvin because I had Melvin Ingram on the brain.
Yeah, I was thinking Melvin Ingram as well. But Mark Ingram, he's good, but he can't do it alone. Um, and this is where you would really want kind of another back to kind of step up into that fold because Mark Ingram's good. He's still a very capable back, but
Yeah, but he's aged.
he's
you know,
aged.
and
He's
his
not
style
in his
of running
prime.
is no longer really prominent in the league.
Yeah, he's not in his prime anymore, which is fine. Which is fine. He's still capable, and I think Sean Payton knows what he's going to get out of Mark Ingram.
Yeah,
but he needs to get a little bit more out of his offensive players other than Mark Ingram. Uh, there's no Michael Thomas,
Nope.
so you're pretty much just going to be leaning on whom? Jared Cook, and
At that point, you have to find a spot for Taysom Hill this game. You
yeah,
have to find a spot for him to go.
yeah. I think Sean Payton's got to dial up. He's got to be creative with his design runs, and you're going to have to commit to running the ball because you don't want that Josh Allen to be on the field long enough to pick apart that defense because Sean Payton likes to play a lot of zone coverage, and zone coverage is great when you can get pressure with four, but if you have to send in an extra blitzer and you have to or switch to man, then you're kind of leaving a space open and leaving parts of the field vulnerable for Josh Allen to exploit.
Yeah, but even with that, it's like Josh Allen is starting to come down on.
He is.
You know, he's coming off a cloud nine, and I could be one of the first people to tell you that he's still special. So whoever out there is starting to like throw shade at this man, stop it. Just stop it. Don't do that. This kid has been the shining star in New York since he's come into the league. The size, the speed, the arm strength, the strength overall, and his ball IQ is something that Jets, Giants, and Buffalo haven't seen in years. In years. Probably since Eli Manning's prime. Years ago. It's been years since any New York team has seen someone as good as Josh Allen put on one of their uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
So please stop with the shade. Stop saying that Justin Herbert. I saw a picture that Justin Herbert is what people thought Josh Allen was. They're two completely different entities of quarterback. Yeah, they're big. They're both big, strong, and athletic. You can't compare the two. You can't compare the two. They're two very special quarterbacks in two very different divisions, and they're both playing at the top of their respective play styles.
Well, they do honestly kind of play pretty similar. They're pocket passers that can throw with big arms. And I think the difference between Josh Allen and Justin Herbert is that Josh Allen is he's more experienced and developed under Sean McDermott's system. And so he really like that Buffalo team is completely Josh Allen's for his.
Right.
While the Chargers they're still making their team. And they're still kind of in the process of making their team and buying into Brandon Staley. So with that being said, I think the Bills and in regards to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, they definitely play similar, but they're definitely the teams in which they're on definitely have a big factor to their success or to how they're able to win games.
All right, that's fair.
Because Sean McDermott is a really good coach. Like he really had a formula of strong defense, and the Bills' defense is pretty good. But
ranked number 1 up until last week.
It was, but I'm starting to see a problem with the Bills, and it's kind of a similar problem that your Steelers had last year, where it's you kind of relied too much on the passing game and the defense and neglected the running game. And it ultimately came back to bite you in the ass because teams were able to run the ball and be effective.
And just keep your offense off the field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when your offense is on the field, they know
Because you're becoming predictable.
They know that you're going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And they know you're looking to, in the Bills' case, that you're looking for Stephon Diggs or Emmanuel Sanders or the check down, and that's it.
Or Knox. Right?
Yeah. So they know that you're not going to be running the ball as much. And I know Devin Singletary is their number one running back, but Josh Allen is, I think, their actually second rushing leader.
Yeah, he has their second most rushing yards
on their team, which is crazy to think about.
And again, that's just reckless. I feel, again, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he likes to lower his head as a quarterback. He likes contact. The man should have been a linebacker. Really, if that's how he wants to play, he should have been either a linebacker or a tight end.
He should still be a quarterback because he's a really good quarterback.
I agree. He's a very stellar quarterback, but with his mentality and his aggression, it's the aggression of a tight end who can throw the ball. He's the size of Gronk with the arm of Brett Favre. Okay?
His arm strength is actually matched to Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I think they actually have it as they're actually pretty close.
They should do a sports science on that.
They should. They should absolutely do sports science on it. But nevertheless, I think in regards to this game, John McDermott needs to start running the ball.
I agree.
He's got to start running the ball, and it's going to be hard against that New Orleans defense because that
number one rush defense.
Exactly, that New Orleans defense is tough, but Sean Payton is expecting the pass.
Yes.
And he knows that we're going to be doubling Diggs, and we'll cover Emmanuel Sanders as best we can. But everything from that, you're not going to get the deep ball. You're not going to get anything cheap. And it's like Sean Payton's going to force Josh Allen to play. If you're going to beat us, it's going to be with 10 play drives. You're going to have to march down the field and not take anything cheap and easy.
You see, but that's one of those things about Buffalo is that they aren't one of those cheap touchdown teams. They are that hard-working blue-collar team that can go 10, 11, 12 play drives and still put points on the board. Whether it be a touchdown or a field goal, as of late in the game, it's been field goals versus touchdowns. But as we know, they are very capable of putting up 40-plus points in a game.
Yeah.
And holding and rendering a team scoreless and out of options. So, this is the most interesting game of the night, I think.
I'm happy that they made this one the primetime game.
Yeah. Out of the three of them, 100% I agree with you.
So, I think obviously with Jameis, it would have been a whole different looking Saints team. But
that would have been such a fun game.
But Trevor Siemian's looking to be serviceable.
For
now.
The backups in this league today, I think, the backups of today would have been the starters of 10 years ago.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The athleticism that we see now, that's why these quarterbacks are backups. Mm-hmm. But go back 10 years ago and look at how Trevor Siemian plays, he would have been a starting quarterback anywhere.
Yep.
Same thing with Taylor Heineke.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been starting quarterbacks literally anywhere before the West Coast quarterback came in.
You know what? I got to say, as much as I would have loved to pick the Saints, but man, no Alvin Kamara, no Jameis Winston. It's tough. But Sean Payton's going to – I trust him as a coach to dial up a good game plan against the Bills.
This is going to be probably, in my opinion, this is going to be the best coaching matchup. Sean Payton versus Sean McDermott.
Yep.
Two very similar coaches with two different style teams, but two very tough defenses going after each other. This is going to be a chess match from beginning to end, and honestly, I don't know. It's hard. This game is hard for me to pick.
Especially since how Buffalo's been playing. They lost their momentum, and the Saints are coming off a pretty ugly loss against the Eagles. But with that being said, you want to pick some of these games?
Yeah, let's pick. This is Thanksgiving week, man. Let's pick some of the Sunday games.
Let's pick these games. Okay, so let's start with the 1 o'clock game, the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, who do you got?
I'm going to take the Lions in this one. I think that they might pull it off. And I just like the way that they've been playing hard. They've been playing very hard, and I respect the hell out of that.
You see, this one's still hard for me, even with Andy Dalton playing. I don't like Andy Dalton, but I like Matt Nagy, and I really hope they don't get rid of him. I like that defense, but like we said earlier, chemistry beats. If you don't have the room and you don't have that chemistry, then you're not gonna have a good time.
It's hard to win.
I'm gonna go with Detroit too, but I really hope that Chicago gets it together.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go on to the second game, being Las Vegas and Dallas.
I'm going to take Dallas. I think even though Dak hasn't been playing well, I think it's only a matter of time before he'll get back on track. But with that being said, I'll take the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go Dallas as well. Again, it's the same thing with Chicago. I want to see the proper team come out, and I want to see this possibly turn into the game of Thanksgiving. This could wind up being Thanksgiving's game, where it's Vegas Dallas, and it's the best game of the night. But I think Dallas is overall the better team. They have far less issues on and off the field. Yeah, Dallas is gonna win this game. Buffalo versus New Orleans.
You know what? If Alvin Kamara was in, I would take the Saints, but I'm going to take the Bills, and I could just see Josh Allen just eating that turkey leg. I don't know. It's part of me sees that.
You know what? I kind of smell an upset here, only because of those fourth quarter stamina issues that Buffalo has.
Mm-hmm.
I feel Sean Payton knows exactly what's needed to play a full game, and Josh Allen's still kind of figuring it out for when it's a closer game, when it's not a complete blowout. This is not going to be a blowout by any means. This is going to be a very, very tough game. And, if New Orleans wants to go 4 quarters, they're going to go 4 quarters, and I don't know that Buffalo can do that. So I'm going to go with New Orleans on this one.
And plus, it's a hard place to play in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. Moving on to Sunday's games. The first game, the New York Jets versus the Houston Texans.
The game of the week.
We call this the dumpster fire game.
I'm gonna take Houston. If I have to pick a winner, I'll take Houston.
Right. This is like if I have to pick, I'm going to.
It's like, how do you want to die? I guess make it quick.
I think I'm gonna go with the Jets on this one. Actually,
what the hell are you smelling?
I like that defense. I like the Jets defense. I always have. Yeah, it's that Jets stink.
That stink.
They had a sugary lunch. We're gonna go on to Philly versus the New York Giants.
Sorry, Paul. I'm taking Philly. Jalen Hurts is just a baller, and I just don't see the Giants stopping them.
There's no Giants don't have an answer for Philly this week. Philly's gonna win, and it's not gonna be close. Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. I'm not. Again, you won't see me picking Cincinnati when they play Pittsburgh.
You know what? I'm gonna go with you guys as well. Even though you lost to the Bengals in Heinz Field earlier this year, I think that was kind of you guys. That was the first game where you guys kind of figured, "Oh shit! Like what's wrong with our offense?" You guys kind of know your problems, but after seeing the fourth quarter that you guys had last week against the Chargers, you guys can put up the points. It's just a matter of if Mike Tomlin's going to be like, "Hey, look, I don't want one of those high scoring games. Keep it close." So I'm going to take Pittsburgh to win this game against the Bengals, and fuck the Bengals.
My only concern is going to be not having Minkah Fitzpatrick for that Jamar Chase showdown.
Yeah.
Someone's going to have to chase him down at some point, and Minkah Fitz is the only one who's actually fast enough to keep up pace.
Yep.
And he's not going to be on the field, so we have to try and get him contained inside the numbers all night, and that is a tall order for Jamar Chase. Moving on to Atlanta versus Jacksonville, another snooze of a game.
Oh my god! I guess if I had to pick a winner, I guess I'm taking.
Don't you dare say it.
I'm taking Atlanta.
Okay. Thank God you didn't say it.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Jacksonville.
I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but I was like, who do I trust more? And I'm like, I kind of trust Matt Ryan, even though they got no points against the Patriots, but kind of expected that against the Patriots. So I don't know. I take Atlanta, but it's a toss up.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one, and not for any type of athletic ability other than Kyle Pitts's. You know, if Kyle Pitts has a game, Atlanta's going to win. But if that Jacksonville defense decides to have any sort of a game that we kind of figured out that Jacksonville defense can play, that defense can play, that offense can't score. I'm gonna go Atlanta as well, but keep an eye out for that Jacksonville defense. We're gonna move on to Tennessee versus New England.
I have to say, it was probably the worst game for Tennessee to lose against Houston because you gave Bill Belichick a recent loss for him to look at film and study. And so he's going to like Bill Belichick has already looked at that game 3 times over to really see what are the weaknesses on that Tennessee offense
and that Tennessee defense.
Yeah, so I'm taking New England to win this one. I think it was just the wrong time for Tennessee to lose. They were on such a momentum streak that it looked like a shoo-in, and it would have been really tough for New England going into that. But I don't know. I think that momentum is going to come to a halt for Tennessee.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And to your point, Bill Belichick is the best one to do it, and you know for a fact that man studies film, and he studies film well. And you're going to give him a loss to look at. Oh man, you better fix those problems, or else he's gonna really show you that you're gonna pay.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Carolina and Miami.
I'm going to take Miami on this one. I think I trust Brian Flores a little bit more than Matt Rule, and I think even though as much as I do like Cam and he's one of my favorite players to watch, I think he needs a little bit more time in Matt Rule's offense. It's different than Ron Rivera's offense, and there's different players. But with that being said, it's more of a defensive-oriented team. But with that being said, I'm going to take Miami. I just like the way that they've been playing. I like Tua, and I like that it's in Miami. Get a little bit comfortable, get familiar, and I think come the end of the year, it is a tough place to play in Miami. Towards the end of the year, even Belichick struggles with it. So I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Miami as well. You and I are pretty much even across this whole thing, except for a couple of games here. Miami is, again, we've been talking more so this episode about team chemistry. Yeah, the Carolina Panthers have bought into Cam as a team. That chemistry isn't showing in gameplay yet.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, on the other hand, has completely bought into Tua upon with the injuries, and they're playing really well. They may not be winning as many games, but they're playing well. And their defense is really starting to show up when it's needed the most. And if that defense shows up and decides to smack Cam in the mouth, we're going to see Miami win, and we're going to see Miami win by more than a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take Miami, and this is going to be a really fun game to watch. So I'm actually going to star it as one of the main ones to watch.
Okay.
Next game is Tampa versus Indy.
Who are you taking on this one?
This is a heavy game. Of course, you had to go with me first. I'm actually going to go with Indy. I'm going to go with Indy on this game. I feel like that Tampa defense, they still give up a lot of yards. I feel like Tom Brady, he is starting to throw interceptions, and that Colts defense can cause turnovers. They cause mayhem. They cause ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be another really low-scoring, tight game for 4 quarters, and it's going to come down to who can finish those 4 quarters.
If you're thinking that, then I'm gonna go with the Bucks actually. Because if it comes down to who has the ball last,
that's what it's going to come down to, is who has the ball last.
I trust Brady to come through with that win rather than the Colts. We've just seen, as well as Carson Wentz has been playing, We've just seen him had too many turnovers in the worst times. Um,
I agree with that.
so, with that being said, I'm going to take the Bucks, and I think that that win over the Giants is like, hey, look, we beat a team that we needed to. Now we're going to be against some better competition. Now we need to step it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take the Bucks on that game.
Okay. Moving on to the LA Chargers versus the Denver Broncos.
Divisional games, man. I have a funny feeling about this one, but I'm going to take the Broncos on this one.
Really?
Yeah, the Chargers have just been feeling too inconsistent for me. As much as I like them and I want them to do well, divisional games, especially in Denver, it's late in the year. It's tough. It's tough to play there. It's tough to win there. I'm gonna go with the Broncos to upset the Chargers.
Okay, so I'm gonna go on the flip side of that wall, and I'm gonna go with the Chargers. You know, after the week that they had against the Steelers, which is an absolute barn burner of a match, I can't see any other type of team being the LA Chargers coming out than that team that played Pittsburgh. And Denver isn't as competitive as Pittsburgh is. So if the Chargers come out like they did against Pittsburgh, I kind of see Denver folding on that. You know, they might roll over on their back and be like, please make it stop. Make it stop, please. But, you know, again, they're a defense that likes to fight. They like to fight for 4 quarters. It's just a matter of that offense being able to answer for points. We've been seeing that's kind of, again, it's kind of becoming a more common theme where it's these defenses are keeping teams afloat, but the offenses cannot answer for points for the higher scoring teams in the league.
Yeah.
So I think the Chargers are going to come out on top on this one. Moving on to the LA Rams and the Green Bay Packers.
Man, this is a tough one. This might be the game of the week, but I'm sorry, Bates. I'm going with the Packers on this one. I think that Packers defense is playing a little bit better than that Rams defense. And Aaron Rodgers has beaten Matt Stafford so many times that.
Well, we also have to confirm that he's playing.
What, Rodgers?
Yeah, because he sustained a foot injury last week. He said it's worse than turf toe.
Oh yeah, he got
hurts
that,
really, really bad.
He got that COVID toe.
It hurts really, really bad, is what he said.
Really, really bad.
So he's gonna hope that it does well.
This man's gonna be taking his crystals.
So if he plays, Green Bay has a better chance at winning. My God, if Jordan Love goes in that game,
that's gonna be an ugly game.
So for that reason, I'm gonna pick the Rams because I don't know for a fact that Aaron Rodgers is playing.
I respect it.
We're gonna move on to Minnesota versus San Francisco. Who you got?
I'm taking the Vikings. The Vikings have been playing well. I like what they've been doing,
but so have the San Francisco 49ers. They've been playing up as well.
They're both teams are 5-5, and both teams have won good, convincing games, but yet at the same time have lost close games that they probably should have won. Especially on the Vikings side, like they should have won a lot more games than their record shows. But I like what they're doing. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, they're cooking something special there. And that defense, even though they have problems with Everson Griffin, their defense is still playing pretty solid. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there. I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. They've been playing up to their opponents week in and week out, and it's really only a matter of time before they start gaining some separation from their opponents now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems like they're kind of really getting into their own and picking up their own sense of who they are. Like, they can put up 30 points. They can play solid defense. They can run the ball exceptionally well. Kirk Cousins is playing exceptionally well. And Mike Zimmer is coaching exceptionally well. I love Mike Zimmer as a coach.
I've liked him for years.
I love Mike Zimmer as a coach.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to give Minnesota this. But it's going to be, again, it's a very, very good coaching matchup between Mike Zimmer and Kyle Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for this game. Cleveland versus Baltimore.
The prime time, baby. This man's looking me dead in my soul, thinking that he doesn't know me. You know me, Chris Fulmer. You know who I'm taking. But I'll tell you why I'm taking it. Not just because I think obviously Lamar is probably going to be coming back this game to play.
You can hope.
And it was. I do want to see our defense put up, be a little bit better. I want to see them on the field and get that chemistry and click and start to make plays, make stuff happen. But the one thing that's really in favor of the Ravens is Baker Mayfield is extremely hurt. And you hate to see it, but he's trying to really overplay his hand because he knows that after this year the Browns have a choice to sign him or not. And he's like, no, I got it. Like, Baker, you're limping into this game. He's like, no, I got it. Yeah, but it's a tough place to play. In Baltimore, prime time. I'm taking my Ravens every time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you guys as well. And to your point, Baker Mayfield now has 4 active injuries, and he's still trying to play. We have said it in a couple episodes past that the Bengals and the Browns more or less emulate the Ravens and the Steelers in the sense of how we have beaten them over the years. The Bengals emulate more of the Ravens, and the Browns more emulate the Steelers. And this is a very good example. And I'm going to look at Baker Mayfield. He has 4 injuries he's trying to play. Who does that sound like to you in the AFC North?
Big Ben, doesn't it?
Like Ben Roethlisberger. Like the treehouse that is the AFC North being Ben Roethlisberger, who can play with up-teen injuries at once, come out of a motorcycle accident, and he can play a game the next week. Plays an AFC championship with a fractured foot. That isn't Baker Mayfield, but that's who he's trying to be. And you don't get brownie points for playing hurt.
Is that pun intended?
No.
Oh.
I like brownies. I don't like the Browns. And we're going to move on to the Monday night game, which is the Seattle Seahawks versus the Washington football team.
Man, I was torn on this game because both teams are struggling for different reasons. But, I'm going to take Washington on this one. I just think they're just a little bit more healthier, and I just can't trust that Seattle defense that's ranked 31st in the league. I can't trust it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Washington again for more so the same premise as to what we've been saying all episode in team chemistry. Seattle, that defense chemistry is not there. And it hasn't been there since week 8 of last year. So Washington is a much more chemistry-wise, more better rounded team at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be another chess match between coaches, between Ron Rivera and
Pete Carroll.
Thank you, and Pete Carroll. So yeah, I'm going to go with Washington. So guys, there you have it. There are our games for this upcoming week. The Thanksgiving games are up. Our games are up. If you guys agree, disagree, feel free to put a comment in the comment section. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Everyone, please enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be safe. And if you guys choose to drink, get a ride home. Don't drive. It's just that simple. Be safe out there. Till next time, we are Let's Talk Football. I hope you're ready for Thanksgiving. I know we are.
I know we are. Happy Thanksgiving,
everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.